Chapter 18, Part 4. We're going to look at some conjunctions or some phrases that function as conjunctions, and some of them are going to take the indicative, some are going to take the subjunctive, and some will take either. Now, that's not really too important for translating. Um, I don't know if I would really spend the effort trying to remember which ones take the conjunction, take the indicative, which ones take the subjunctive. Occasionally it'll give you meaning. And the only time that really will give you some information is for when you have verbs that are ambiguous, like end in IONS or IEZ, and you don't know if it's a present imperfect or the present subjunctive or the imperfect. If you know if they're in the indicative or the subjunctive, you can figure out their time. But they're always going to be independent clauses here, so I don't think it's that important. But occasionally you'll have a sentence where that could help. So let's start off with the conjunctions that take the indicative. Alors que means while or at the time that. So we could have a sentence like alors que vous dormiez, votre femme étudiait. So we have alors que, that means while, and it's got que, so it can introduce a subordinate clause. So while you were sleeping, your wife was studying. So that always takes the indicative, so we know that dormier is in the imperfect. But just figure out the time from the main clause and it'll smooth out pretty well. So while you were sleeping, your wife was studying. Maintenant que is a conjunction which means now that. Il voulait visiter la France maintenant qu'il pouvait lire le français. So he wanted to visit France. Maintenant que means now that he could read French. So that's maybe that'll motivate you to want to visit France too. Now that you can read French. Tant que means as long as. Tant que vous étudiez les verbes, vous pouviez suivre les leçons. So here we have as long as you were studying the verbs, you could follow the lessons. They're both in the imperfect there. So as long as you were studying the verbs, you could follow the lessons. Here's some more. À mesure que is a little harder to translate. That means in proportion to, or sometimes we can just put it as, but it has that idea of as one thing changes, another one changes. À mesure qu'il étudiait les verbes, il a compris le français. So this would mean in proportion to his studying the verbs, he understood French. Or the more he studied the verbs, the more he understood French would be the idea. De même que, de même means just as, so. De même que le français est difficile à apprendre, de même l'anglais prend beaucoup de temps pour le maîtriser. So we have de même que, just as French is difficult to learn, then de même, so English takes lots of time for learning how to, requires a lot of time for mastering it. Now there's some conjunctions that take the indicative or the subjunctive, depending on how sure you are of the outcome. De sorte que, de façon que, de manière que, and en sorte que all mean so that, in such a way that, or so that indicating a consequence. So you need to remember all four of these indicate that there's going to be some consequence. J'étudie de sorte que le professeur sera content de moi. I'm studying in such a way that the professor will be content with me. So here we've got it in the future tense. We could put it in the subjunctive, especially if you're not real sure of it. So de sorte que would be in such a way or so that the professor will be pleased with me. So all four mean the same thing. si and que and tellement que tu es si belle que je ne t'oublierai jamais. You are so beautiful that I will never forget you. So beautiful that I will never forget you. That sounds like a nice sentence. I think I'll try that on my wife. Il est tellement fatigué qu'il ne peut plus étudier. So he is so tired that he can no longer study. So these are so and that ways of expressing kind of like a surprise at the quantity of something. Now we've already seen other conjunctions, and they take the indicative also. But make sure you recognize these because they occur quite often and they're got small words that are difficult to look up in the dictionary. So you should have a flashcard for each one of these if you don't already. So you can go to the au tableau, to the whiteboards, your whatever you're using to write down the answers. And when you're done writing them down, check them in the next video.